listening to Am I the Bolcast, the only podcast about Magic the Gathering that you're listening to right now. I'm your host, Mike Carrozza, and with me as always is my co-host and super producer, Morgan Sanchez. Hi, Morgan.
What's up, Mike? How you doing?
Oh, I'm sick as a dog, buddy. I am doing so good.
Too many poison counters on you right now.
Yeah, I'm sitting at 6 right now, and I'm not looking so good. I am sick. I don't feel well, but we have to get this done because we're approaching the deadline to get the bookends on this interview because we got a good one coming, and I'm excited about it. I do want to say we're in the throes of Final Fantasy. We're in the throes of all this Vegas stuff coming up. I will not be there, but I want you to have a great time out there. If you're going, enjoy it. But I can't make it. And please, if you see anybody that I'm friends with, give them a big old hug from Mikey if they'll accept the hug. Have fun at Vegas. It's going to be a good time. Speaking of a good time, I have a CardSphere story today. Our sponsor, as always, CardSphere.com. CardSphere, get your cards here. There was a referral link in the... did I say that right? There's a referral link in our description, which you can click and sign up for CardSphere. And frankly, you'll want to. It's the best trading platform there is. I've been having some fun. I was looking for, let's just say, some weirder, like I love old legends, and I found a guy who had a foil Greel Mindraker, and for those who
weird
don't
little
know,
guy, little guy.
For those who don't know, Greel is a legend from Prophecy, a mono black legend spell shaper from that cycle of spell shapers like Joe Rael and Vegeta the Lion. Greel is the black one, so 3 black for a 3/3 spell shaper legend with X black tap, discard 2 cards from your hand, and then you make somebody else, target player, discards X cards at random from their hand. And honestly, I don't know where I'm playing this. I don't know if I'm playing this. I just have always really liked this character. Always really liked this card. Even if I've never played it. I just wanted the foil. So I was just perusing on CardSphere and I thought, let me pick this guy up. And the seller also had another legend from a block near the time I started, which, I started 7th edition Mercadian Mask block. So I love masks. I love the mask block altogether, but then also I love Invasion. I love Invasion and how it's a gold focused block. Multicolored cards are obviously the backbone of Commander, and so there's a reason that this set's so popular, but I've always really wanted a couple foil cards from there, and one of them was Empress Galena from the OG Invasion set. So this guy had both Greel and Galena, and I thought, let me pick these guys up. And I'm waiting on it. I just got the confirmation that it shipped before the weekend, and I'm stoked. I'm really, really pumped about these 2 little guys that are probably just going to either sit in my binder of beautiful cards, or I'm going to put them in top loaders and stick them to the wall. Like, these are cards that I just want to have to look at. The old foiling is so pretty.
It's perfect. They tried to bring it back, and it's not the same.
It's not the same. It's not the same. Morgan, I know you've been working on the Odyssey block stuff, and you have an appreciation for those old foils. I get you. I know what you're talking about. Do you have any current CardSphere goings on at the moment, or you just you're just waiting out the Final Fantasy?
Oh yeah. I'll admit I am fully lost in the sauce of Final Fantasy. My booster box came yesterday, and so did my starter deck. I forced my partner to play with me, Sephiroth v Cloud. It was so fun. Those decks are actually pretty play? I was Cloud, but I should have been Sephiroth because I am a blue-black girly, but I was like, let's switch it up. The decks are really evenly matched, so if you have somebody in your life who is maybe newer to Magic but finds Final Fantasy, especially Final Fantasy VII, the game more accessible, they're great decks. They, I think, are pretty evenly matched and really fun. I do miss the pre-constructed starter deck stuff a lot more. I think they've tried to do a lot of those products in the past that just haven't been super great, just throwaway decks. But these are actually really fun little 60 carders. Nice. Yeah, that are cool, right? Because you're like the good guy fighting the bad guy. And that's always fun for everybody. But in terms of CardSphere, I have not yet put up my Final Fantasy wish list because I was waiting on that box. But that is a task that I'm supposed to be doing this weekend, which means I will be broke come tomorrow. or at least Monday. I will be fully out of funds because I will be buying every Final Fantasy card that I did not open.
I know you've been stoked on this set. Has it lived up to your expectations? Are you so hyped still about it?
I think one of the best things about Magic is opening the booster pack, right? But like, it's been kind of it's almost as like a chore sometimes. You do it enough, like, okay, I'm looking for a thing. I just got some prize winnings. Let me crack this thing open. Whatever, got a lame rare. But with Final Fantasy, even if you only know a couple of the games, seeing some of the enemies, seeing some of the legends in the set is just, it's so fun. It's I can't explain the feeling as somebody who is pretty entrenched in a couple of these games, what it feels like to open an art card of one of your favorite legends, one of your favorite characters, right?
Yeah.
Like, you just look at it and you're like, damn, that's like a thing that exists now in the world that I can share with other people. And it's genuinely
worlds colliding.
Yeah, I mean, Final Fantasy has its own card game, has its own video games, but getting it into Magic, obviously the best game system in the world, by the way, is just, it belongs here. Belongs here. Like, I cannot thank the design team enough. One of our news correspondents actually interviewed some of the guys on the design team, Gavin and everybody. And just the amount of love that came into this set is just so exciting. Like, I sound like a broken record talking about it, but like, you don't need to know everything Final Fantasy to just find a Final Fantasy person to talk about. Oh, they missed a couple things, they missed a couple marks, but all the important bits are there and they're fun to share.
I can't imagine them packing like all 15 or 16 games and all the notable stuff in there. Like, for God's sake, they made the towns in the set non-legendary, even though they're cities, you know what I mean? And I thought that was a compromise that I'd be like, sure, but like, I think that it's kind of nice, that it still works out, that they found ways to include it. That's what they were favoring. But it's been an interesting set. I hated sealed for this set. I did not enjoy myself.
Why not?
There was just like, there's no sealed. First of all, in Play Booster era is already so washed, but then you're also in a situation where like, there's no like, I had zero synergy among anything. There's just nothing that worked with each other, and so I was just like, do I go soup or do I just like pick black and then like choose a second color because I have some removal in black? Like, it was truly such a disappointing experience with this set. I've been watching drafts online though, like LSV and Newmont the Nummy and them, and like the drafts are cool. Like, there's a lot of interesting stuff happening in this set, but it is very clear that a lot of it is in service to Constructed or Commander. Like,
definitely.
And again, I'm not done looking at the legends in this set. I mean, I have enjoyed.
Never will be.
There's so many legends. Obviously, there's gonna be, but it's just so interesting that like, what have I done? You know what I mean? Like, I'm looking at all this stuff and going, I can't believe this is a real card now. I can't believe, like, what is this? How do I have fun with it?
You're talking about Genova, right? Like, she's still still on your mind?
Buddy, you kidding me? I got all the pieces in the mail yesterday.
Girl.
I'm built.
She's slept on. And that's a weird mom joke too, if you're into the game. So I have to throw that out there to be awkward. I'm sorry.
Nice.
I don't want to say that about moms, but Genova is slept on for sure as a commander.
I don't know what it means, but it's fair. I back you. I'll say this though. I'm not even talking about Genova. I think Genova is cool as hell, and yeah, I'm building it. It's gonna be my second green deck in like recent times. Like, I built the Master Transcendent, and I've been off a green for literal years. And so, if I'm talking about the legends in the set, I'm also like looking at support legends and thinking like, how do I make them work? I was talking to Cole from Heroes Blade Vibe Check, and he was talking about how he likes Squall, Seed, a Mercenary or something.
Yeah,
the Orzhov one that, the 4-mana Orzhov one that when a creature attacks alone, it gets double strike, but when it does damage, when Squall does combat damage to a player, return a permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield.
Let's go.
That's pretty bananas. Like, first of all, Orzhov Voltron, like, okay, and also it's such a Cole deck. He just wants a slam. It's so fun. But is it a deck that I would personally ever put together myself? Hell no. It doesn't sound like my play style at all. But man, it's so fun that this design is out there. I think it's so cool. I was looking at, I think it's Van, Van, who's like
Vaughn,
this, Vaughn, who was a street thief.
Street
and has
thief,
a bunch
yep.
of like typal stuff going on. So whenever one or more scouts, pirates, and/or rogues deal combat damage to a player, you exile the top card of that player's library. You may cast it. If you don't, create a treasure token. So it's like not all of Ragavan, but it is like partly a Ragavan, and it super juices your Ragavan because Ragavan's a pirate. And then if you cast a spell that you don't own, put a +1/+1 counter on each scout, pirate, and rogue you control. Thing is,
just bananas.
Like, I'm trying to evaluate if this is just good enough to have in a deck where, like, incidentally some of your stuff is a pirate or a rogue. Like, it not necessarily something that you want to just go whole hog on for these types, but it's interesting. It's cool. I really like these designs. I think they're.
It sounds like, because like based on your feeling about it, and everybody else is saying the same thing too. The best thing that these Universes Beyond sets can do is bring this kind of like unique design, because that's a character in the game,
Totally.
right? So Squall,
Yeah.
so they're the main characters of their games, 8 and 12 respectively, and so they all have unique abilities and backstories and weapons and like all these things that come together in not only designing their color identity but what their abilities are. So it feels like I'm getting a lot of like fresh juice from you being like, wow, this is cool. And everybody else too being like, oh, this is different. Like, and even for the showcase cards that are, so for Vaughn specifically, I believe it's, I'm forgetting the name, I'm blanking out, but it's Captain like Lannery something, where whenever she attacks, you can
Captain
make a treasure
Lannery
token.
Storm.
Yeah, exactly.
And sack a treasure to, whenever you sack a treasure, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn.
Yeah, just like great abilities that really fit in with like the character's vibe. And then here's Vaughn's actual card that, is a new unique design that really fits within his character. And for me, again, just makes it really super fun to talk about how much it fits.
I'll say like like you said, like these characters push interesting designs, and that's what you get a lot of. The flip creatures that turn into sagas that flip back, like Dion or Jill, Joshua, a bunch of really cool designs. But I think one that I'm expecting to see do work, especially in my Jeskai Legends deck, is Venat, part of Hydaelyn. 3 mana, so it's 1 white for a 3/3 Elder Wizard. Whenever you cast a legendary spell, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. For 7 mana and tap, exile target non-land permanent, then transform Venat, activate as sorcery. So you get like this like 7 mana seems to be Magic's like special number for like destroy anything, get rid of anything, because they have it on Meteor Golem and stuff like that. But then on the backside, Hydaelyn, the Mother Crystal, is a 4/4 indestructible god. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on another target creature you control until your next turn it gains indestructible. And if that creature is legendary, draw a card. I mean, talk about pushed, dude.
Why not?
This set is like literally saying, hey, some of these cards are just going to be busted. But some of them are not busted in a way that is immediately... Like, Venat doesn't do anything on its own. You need to cast legendary spells. You need to flip it. You need to have other legendary creatures. This build-around element, which I find so much more interesting. Like Go-Go, Master of Mimicry, is the 2/4 for 3 mana legendary wizard. XX tap, copy target activated or triggered ability if you control X times. You may choose no new targets for the copies. This ability can't be copied, and X can't be 0. What a busted little card. Like, what a weirdo. Like, but it doesn't do anything on its own, right? So there's a lot of pieces like that, like Matoya, Archon Elder, 3 mana, 1/4, 2 and a blue human warlock. Whenever you scry or surveil, draw a card. You draw a card after you scry or surveil. It's already so busted, like but you still need to be surveilling and scrying, and so it's not like immediate. It's not on its own, and I think that that's such more interesting design to push towards.
You get to play with it. You have to play with it to figure it out, kind of thing, versus like, oh, this is just the new hotness and everybody's going to be playing it.
Right. So it's like there's elements of that to the set that I'm finding myself like I appreciate a lot. Like I like the crystals a lot, but I don't know where to put them. But I think that they're interesting. Like the water crystal is the most obvious to me with 2 mill decks. I think I know, but the darkness crystal is interesting, but it's probably the least powerful of the 5. Like it's not as good as all of them, but I like these designs, and I think I'm not. The set obviously just came out, so when I say I'm not done with the set, clearly I'm not done with the set. I just still haven't really fully explored everything. Like I'm just discovering. Like last night, I found out about Sorceress's schemes. And I say this like because I didn't get to I didn't get to review color in particular this time around. Like EDHREC has changed the way that we do reviews for sets. So I got to suggest like, hey, I'm going to review graveyard cards. So I just kind of like skimmed things and I was like, return instant. Nope, forget it. Not a graveyard card. But I'm looking at Sorceress's schemes. I'm like 3 in a red, return an instant of sorcery from your graveyard or exiled card with flashback you own to your hand. And then you add a red and flashback, you have another like 4 in a red. So it's like, it's an interesting design. I don't know what to do with it, but I'm looking at this card like there's like a little piece here, a little piece there that tells me like this is a puzzle. And that's what I love about Magic. And I think that Final Fantasy is bringing itself to the table in a really big way. And I have to praise the design team for at the very least making things super interesting. These cards are so cool. And I really like the set. I just did not like playing sealed. That sucked. But everything else was fun.
Can't have everything, but you can have 6 packs.
Yes, 6 packs and guess what your promo is? It's a bulk rare that is not good for limited. That's right. Don't worry about it.
So foil though. It's so foil and so shiny.
Foil. It's double the foil.
Yeah.
Come on. We have to take a call. We should probably do that, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at this. Just when I say it starts.
Perfect timing every time.
It's incredible timing. Who could have seen this coming?
Not
I guess
me.
we should take this call. Let's do the call. Let's take the call right now. Here we go. Oh, it looks like we've got another caller on the line. Caller, introduce yourself. Who am I talking to today?
Hey, what's up, buddy? It's Logan, SeraphSix. Just hanging out here, having a good time.
What is cracking, buddy? Nice to hear from you.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I haven't seen a Baja Blast in the frame yet.
Well, I had one earlier. It's the afternoon here, right? Or late afternoon. Okay. So I've got a Pepsi Zero Sugar to curb,
the caffeination. You got to get a little bit more of the buzz rather than the taste. I'm also I've got a Diet Pepsi. Tell you that
that's
much.
Not too bad. Yeah, I really like their Zero Sugar line because I could just drink it and be a piece of crap, without worrying about the calories.
Into it. I'm right there with you. And I'll say this, Pepsi, little known brand, you guys should check them out. If they start doing well, we could call it the Bolcast bump. Pepsi, shout out your boy. If things start going well, Pepsi, you know who to call to thank. Just a heads up. Just a couple goofy boys just drinking their sippies and having a nice time. Logan,
it's funny. Like Mike Linneman he's always like, I get on that Taco Bell line. They gotta sponsor you for all the free advertising I do every Tuesday.
Yeah, Mike's a goofball. He knows that you call Taco Bell and you say, "Hey, I drink a lot of Baja Blast. What can you do for me?" They'll be like, "What are you calling us, dude? We don't own Mountain Dew." You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So silly. Mike's episode talks a lot. I don't even think we got to a Bolas question with him. I think we just talked about magic art, and it's going to be one of those episodes where if you're listening to this, you already know, but it is one of those episodes where you got to listen to that with Scryfall open in one tab.
Oh,
just type in the things we're talking about.
I've got tabs open already for this call already.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That was funny. I saw him in Chicago and he's a dog guy, little known fact.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a couple bottles of like root beer from my town here and I gave him one from Dog and Suds and he's like, I like the part with the dog.
What does that even mean?
It's like this great root beer, but I like the part with the dog.
Mike, if you're hearing this, you gotta tell me what that means. I don't understand. What a wild thing to say. You crazy man.
The label, yeah.
He's like, I like the part with the dog. Forget the suds. Don't even get me started about the suds. No, you know what? If it were up to me, root beer wouldn't have any suds. Just dogs. You just gotta grind your dogs up and put them in.
Yeah.
God, gross. You weirdo. Can't believe he talks like that. Anyway, if you're angry at that, tell Vorthos Mike you're mad at him for it. The dog thing. It's so silly. Man, I bumped into I saw him in Chicago twice, and both times he was like a whisper in the wind. Leading up to Chicago, I was like, let's get dinner, let's hang out. He's like, I'll be there, I'm ready for it. And then you'd see him and he's like, I'm too busy, I gotta take care of this thing. And then he sees me at LobbyCon, and I'm like, it's the one time that I've been like, I'm out of my mind, exhausted, and I can't tell what's happening right now. He's like, okay, I'm gonna go get somebody and I'll be right back. And then he didn't come back. He just keeps wandering. He's a mystery, and I love it. He's like a folk hero walking around the spaces.
Till like Sunday that I actually got to stop and talk to him, just because he was just, every time you saw him, he was going somewhere.
Exactly. But, that's what I love about him, though. You never know what his next move is, but you know that he's going to be like, okay, I got this sketch from this artist. I talked him into selling the sketch, the OG sketch of Midnight Pathlighter. And you're like, okay, so Pindersky's involved. You're like, okay.
Cool.
You're like, now I'm going to help him auction it off. Who else is he talking to? I never know. Vorthos Mike is a great resource. If you're into magic art and potentially getting involved in some magic art auctions, you got to check him out.
Oh yeah.
But Logan, we're not here to talk about Mike. We love Mike, but we're not going to talk about him. We're talking about you, buddy.
It's me.
SeraphSix. I got to know. So first of all, your name is available. Your your name is available on Cards and Magic. You have a deck for Seraph and Six. You have a deck named after you, but you've also got Wolverine who came out. So you're all over this game. I have one card, and I'm not counting the Micaeus. I'm not counting Micaeus. I'm counting Mike the Dungeon Master, and that's it. And so it's kind of fun, but I think it's got to be more interesting to see a card named Six and go, unofficial partners, I get to make this. That's got to be so cool.
The best part was, as I was building, so I have a copy of Seraph from Ice Age that Sheldon signed and gave to me like back in 2020. So it was like sentimental card. Cool. I can guilt people into using this as a commander.
Very easy.
Six comes out and I'm like, oh, well, I can just like partner these two. And EK plays help me come up with a deck list, and he's like, yeah, you got to do it.
Yeah.
So I built this awesome. It's like a Selesnya reanimator kind of deck. It really hinges a lot on Six doing its thing.
For sure. The retrace of it.
But Seraph's there too.
I mean, Seraph's really cool, but it does make me feel good to know that there's a perfect shell to play something like Hymn of Rebirth. Have you seen this card?
Hymn of Rebirth.
Hymn of Rebirth is a sorcery from Ice Age, uncommon sorcery from Ice Age, that is 3 green-white. Take target. I'm reading the original text. Take target creature from any graveyard and put it directly into play under your control as though it were just summoned, aka reanimate without the life loss for 5 mana. So you
now I need this.
Isn't that fun? Isn't that a fun card?
Well, heck, now I gotta add that to my cart, my cart here.
I found this in like a bulk binder at one point. I bought 4 copies of them for $0.25 each, and I thought, you know what? I'm not gonna get rid of these ever, and I hope people find out about it.
Richard Kane Ferguson art too. That's
I know.
Killer.
Strange Richard Kane Ferguson art, not to mention. I'll tell you that much.
Okay, I'm adding that to my list then. That's cool.
Look at that.
Yeah, so I've got gorgeous. That. And then they were like, oh yeah, we're making these Marvel cards. Here's Wolverine. I'm like, well, that's Logan.
That's Logan.
And so I'm like, cool. And so going into, it was Vegas last year. I'm like, it was before the sale of the Marvel cards, I think. I'm like, or no, that was after. Yeah. So I had gone to Vegas and I'm like, all right, got my Wolverine. I got my SeraphSix commander deck. And then I sit down first game Friday and I get a text message from Bobby Christine, all caps, Logan card. And I'm like, what? There's already 2. So I'm like, what's going on? And then she sends me a picture of one of the Gavin Unknown event cards, and it's the 6 Seraph.
Hell yeah.
And I just started bawling my eyes out right there.
Oh, buddy. I'd do the same. I'd do the same. I would scream. People would be worried for me. I would do the exact same thing. You kidding me? Because you've been playing Magic for a long time, right? When did you get your start in Magic? What set?
So this spins way back. So I didn't actually start really playing and owning my own Commanders or Magic stuff until about 2012.
Okay.
When friends got me into playing Commander, but it was, I got my first experience with it back in like 95, 96.
Oh yeah.
Because I'd buy like InQuest magazine and look up card prices for different TCGs. I played Rage the Apocalypse, and what else did I play? The Star Wars CCG from Decipher, from way back then. Oh
wow.
Yeah. Like I still have my old Star Wars cards.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
To think about back then getting the magazines just to look at the prices. You remember that? I remember doing that.
And I lived in a small town, so like we didn't have a card shop back then. We had a baseball card shop, like trading cards, but we didn't have like playing TCG card stuff. So I would have to go to this little it was like a music and movie shop, old brand called On Cue. I'd go in there and they had packs like right up next to the register, and I'd go use my like gas money or I'd mow lawns for this dude and go take that in and go buy packs and get like my Rage the Apocalypse cards and some Star Wars cards and things like that. Use pretty much my allowance that I made mowing lawns and stuff, and buy those. But it was because I was introduced to those by a kid that was new to our school. He had moved to town. His dad was moved to town to work at the hospital, and the kid looked, didn't really have any friends. He didn't know anybody, and so I reached out and we became really, really solid friends, and we still keep in touch to this day. Like he had moved away and everything.
That's real sweet.
And I'm like, man, if you had introduced me to this stuff back then, I don't think that I would be anywhere where I am right now, because doing cool TCG stuff and everything. But we play like Rage and Star Wars and stuff and other games. But then I kind of like fell off of it. And in high school for a little bit, there were some friends that were playing Magic, and so I'd go hang out at their house, and I'd get pulled into like a freaking 8-person multiplayer. It was like
kitchen table free for all
Onslaught era 60 card multiplayer.
Woo.
In like 2001. So that's like the old rules. So we still had mana burn.
Yo.
And
wow.
It was fun, but it was also like, this is too much.
Oh yeah. You guys could have broken that up into 4 or 2 games. That would have been nice. Yeah.
And it probably would have like caught me more. It probably would have
for sure
hooked me.
For sure.
But yeah, that was like they were getting into playing that and some other stuff. I'm like, I just want to go play like my Xbox.
Yeah, because it's daunting when it's so much happening at once, and you're like, not as invested. You're borrowing from somebody, but you've been around Magic, and so we're talking. You've been in.
Yeah.
It must have been such a trip to go from like you've been an easy, essentially 20 years, let's say. 20, 25 years of knowing or playing the game, even if not completely invested or anything, to having, here's an official card that isn't legal anywhere, technically, except for this one event, but made by one of the designers at Wizards. It was like, this dude rips. Let's put him on a card. Let's have some fun. Buddy, I would have been
so
scream
cool.
crying. Are you kidding me? Gavin would be embarrassed for me, I think, if he found out just how bad I would cry about that. I'll tell you.
That was such an emotional thing too, because of, as I've gotten into like the online community more and more, mostly blame Olivia for that, introducing me to everybody and giving me the chance to prove myself. But I ran the commander Discord for the rules committee, and there was that whole big week of hell. We had,
buddy,
we got 3,500 new members in that week, and it was just round the clock keeping tabs on. Like, it wasn't the people who were there all the time. It was the people who were coming in just to cause trouble on purpose. And
right. For the listeners, who just to contextualize, we're talking about the Dockside and Mana Crypt bannings.
Yeah.
And how straight up Olivia was getting death threats and the whole crew was getting really really nasty messages. Although I'd say Jim and Olivia, particularly Olivia, because we live in a misogynistic society, really got the brunt of it. And I just gotta say, it's like you had to deal with so much coming in that Discord, and to have to deflect that stuff or kind of moderate to the extent that you had to, considering the influx of extremely loud and fiery might not be the right word here, but
passion. It's passionate for sure.
And it's definitely some passion in there.
But it's like skewed, right? Because like it's when you've got that fire, that passion for what you love and what you really enjoy, but you're taking that and you're pushing it in the wrong direction.
Oh yeah.
Where it's no longer constructive and it's just destructive.
Like, yeah. And I will say I hate to put it this way, because this is kind of like, okay, we're saying such a good thing right now. But like I don't think you should make death threats.
No.
However, okay, this is where we might get into trouble.
Yeah.
And Ken, we might have to flag this with Matt to see what he has to say about this one. However, there are people who, if they were no longer around, it would kind of benefit the world. And I don't have to say who we're talking about.
Turns out there's a lot of protests on this exact day that we're recording.
yeah, right? All to say, like, that would be the kind of scale or the magnitude at which I would kind of be personally just kind of fine with somebody being like, yeah, I hope that person would no longer exist. I'd be like, hey, I get it. They're actively ruining the lives of millions and maybe even billions, and it truly sucks, and that's the worst. But the fact that Olivia and Jim and the RC and a bunch of people got death threats over banning 2 cards that actively were making the format worse for many people.
Yeah.
In a niche hobby where, like, not for nothing, if you're sitting on so many Mana Crypts as a player, I can't tell you nothing, I get it as a store, you got a lot of inventory that's worth less and less, but also that's part of the risk of running a store based on a card game. I'm so sorry to put it so bluntly like that, but it's never we're talking about a game that, yes, it's a lot of our personality, it's a lot, we put a lot of eggs in this basket. You can't be telling people that you want them to die over the game. That's fucking bullshit. Sorry, Ken.
And I was so focused on other things that week. Like, my opinion on the ban, fine with me. Those cards were showing up in games that I was playing, and it sucked every time. And I would play around it, whatever.
My Docksides. I removed Docksides from 6 decks. I had just bought one the week prior for $90. Still, when the banning happened, I said, fair enough. That makes sense.
Sure. I had a single Dockside because I didn't like playing with the card. It was in an actual treasure deck, and it was like, okay, whatever. Yeah.
But barring the opinions you were saying.
Yeah. It was so much to just deal with. It was mostly like people just repeating themselves over and over. That happens regularly. There's a for those readers at home that don't know, I am a senior system admin by profession, but in my hobby time, I'm a community admin on top of like all the other hats I wear. I'm actually seriously considering doing like a social media thread where I'm like, what do you do? And I list out all the things I actually do.
And you go through 6 different like posts. Yeah. You got to do them all.
Exactly. But like, I've doing community admin a long time, and I've know red flags. I see patterns. I know I've been around the block. There's like 50, 60 servers that I've got my fingers in, some a little more active than others. But on the Commander server, it was like, okay, there's the cycle of like, oh, or we're talking about Golos again. Cool. We're talking about hybrid mana again. Oh, but that week it was when you're injecting this hyper active topic, like the ban stuff that happens, then that thread will always start cycling every couple hours the same topics.
Yeah.
And there's no way to get people to not repeat the same things as before, because new people come in and they don't see the stuff from hours before. Yeah. And even if you had this on a forum thread instead of a Discord server, then it's still not going to stop that from happening.
For sure.
But I was so focused on my team of mods. I had pulled in extra folks for that week, and I was so focused on the rules committee. And, you know, initially it was like, okay, this is kind of panning out like the Walking Dead week. We had our mods nonstop for 5 days straight, you know, moderating stuff, and we would take turns who was keeping an eye on the threads and whatnot, and trying to keep everybody focused in one channel so that we had an easier time moderating. But with this one, it was exploding way faster than we expected.
Oh yeah.
It was so hard to moderate things, so we just kept kicking up like the slow mode to higher and higher numbers. And I think for the last like 3-4 days, we had it on like a 6-hour timer so that people could only post once every 6 hours. And I was like, I'm just leaving it like this because nobody's saying anything productive anymore. And I've had to relay death threats to a Wizards of the Coast investigator multiple times through that week. Like, I was relaying my own stuff to a person.
For sure.
But the biggest burden was knowing earlier than most people what was going to happen the following Monday when it was handed over. Because I was in communication with the rules committee about, you know, here's how we're going to handle things. Here's what we're planning. So I was in the loop of all that, but I couldn't tell anybody other than talk to them about it. And so, you know, I'm seeing my mods just bust ass for days and days in a row, not being able to tell them and just being like, help is coming. You know, just hang in there. We're going to do this. You know, I'm making just like the judgment call without any explanation kind of thing. But through all that, we got through it. And then, you know, I took over the Commander server and rebranded it and reopened it. And it's, you know, we've got almost 15,000 members still.
A lot of people.
Still growing. Because it's a great community, and the people that hang out there regularly still make it a great place to be.
Yeah.
But through all that, you know, coming out of it okay, at the exact same time, there were those hurricanes that were going through, and I was helping friends try and relocate.
Buddy.
So
just a wild time in general. Yeah.
Gavin had reached out to me a little bit after all that, and he's like, hey, I just wanted to let you know that you're an amazing person. You're kicking ass doing all this stuff at the exact, you know, juggling so many things. And he's like, I just really appreciate you. And I'm like, oh, that's great. That's great. You know? And then, I was going into Vegas and I'm like, am I going to get a card?
Oh yeah, dude. Hell yeah, dude. Man.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, this year, Chicago was the first time I've ever been like a featured creator. And I know by the time you're listening to this, it's long past, but I was supposed to be at Vegas. I had to pull out because the relationship between Canada and the US is not so good.
A little tricky.
And yeah, it's a little tricky. And like, as someone who has a lapsed visa, a lapsed, not activated visa, mind you, I had gotten a visa to go to be able to legally perform in the States, and I was about to activate it March 2020. And so as you can imagine, it remained not activated, and therefore just like expired. And that's just there on my record, baby. And so as you can imagine, if I hit the border and they're like, let's look into this guy because we're looking into everybody and finding excuses to ruin their lives and take out our day on you. Yeah, I couldn't risk that. But I will say Chicago was the first time I was ever a featured creator at a Magic Con. Vegas would have been like, you know, I'm pretty sure I could have knocked out all 3 in a year. I feel like that would have been fun. And part of me was going into Chicago after having done none of the work that you have done. After basically filling out a form, and I walked into Chicago thinking, you know what? I bet he's gonna make a pretty cool card about me. And I was like, Gavin, let's meet for the first time. And we've met a couple times, but just in passing. But there's just like, you know, the delusion of like, I bet I'm gonna get a card, but you're getting texted by the man himself and going, hey, thank you for thank you. Hey man, you know how you've been fielding all these death threats? Yeah, that I'm aware of because I have to be, because it's a sensitive issue. And you know how this nightmare scenario that you're now essentially the lead on resolving for us. I can't tell you how much that means to me. And I can't wait to see you in Vegas. Hint, hint. Don't worry about it. And then you're like walking into the con space, being like, I wouldn't. Maybe there's a card for me. Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah. And then you get one, and it's like, obviously you're gonna get a card, buddy. Come on.
But like, you know, and I had saw Alan Mental Misplay that first day too, walking in, and I was like, I think, you know, I don't know, cool. Maybe I'll get one. I don't know.
Man, that's so funny to me. Yeah, I'm walking in chest puffed up, like, I bet my card's pretty sick. I hope it's Grixis.
That's my only complaint is that
it's not Grixis.
Well, no, actually I wanted it to be Azorius, because I have an Azorius artifact deck.
What's your card do? Tell me everything. Let's see if I can find it on Scryfall.
You can look it up because I uploaded it myself the first day.
What's it called?
So the 6th Seraph is a 5 mana, so a 3 colorless, 2 white. It's a legendary creature angel, 3/6 flying. Artifact spells you cast have demonstrate.
Wow. Okay. All right.
So this is thematic because I build stuff for people, and then I get paid.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. But I'll say this. Hold on a second. You know what I see here? It says partner at the bottom. It just says partner right there on the bottom.
It'd be nice if it did.
I don't know, man. I just Sharpied my computer screen.
Oh, yeah.
It says, oh, wait, if I move the window around, it doesn't say it in the exact same. Okay, I moved it back. And it says partner there.
Oh, my God.
You're already playing with a card that isn't, quote, technically real. You know what? You know what you should do? Message Gavin. Gavin.
Would you
hate it? Yeah. Would you hate it if I put an island, like a blue mana symbol over one of these? And he'd be like, go for it. And then you put that text exchange where the image box is.
So yeah, I've got an Azorius artifact deck already, and I'm like,
that's awesome.
Well, so I slammed one of these in the 99.
Yeah.
Because obviously. But then I did build an actual commander deck for this.
That's awesome.
And there's all sorts of cool interactions because like Demonstrate doesn't create tokens, they enter as tokens.
Yes.
But there's a lot of stuff that cares about tokens entering. Like Anointed Procession doesn't make extra tokens with it, but Ocelot Pride does.
Hell yeah.
It cares about tokens that entered this turn, or you know, or Twinning Staff. Since I'm copying spells.
Staff. Yeah.
I can demonstrate the Twinning Staff.
That's gross.
And get a second Twinning Staff. And then, you know, I'm getting extras every time. So there's all sorts of cool stuff that I shoved into this that just makes it a very me deck, and I enjoy it.
That rules. I'll say this just for the record and for everybody around, all the bowlers out there, we're trying it out. We're still trying it out. I've said it a couple times, but we're still trying it out. To all the bowlers out there, you encounter Logan in the wild and he pulls out that Azorius list. Logan, I'm just going to invite you to put yourself in the command zone for this game. Just do it. We don't need it to be the deck that you made around it. Put this thing in the command zone like you want it to be. Just make it happen.
I've tried, because then, like, you know, I got this, and then they started doing, like, the Aether Drift previews, and they were like, oh, here's Mendicant Core. And I'm like, oh, it's like a mini-me. It's like a mini-me.
Yes! I love that card. That's so cool.
I've been playing around with all those in that deck. It's so much fun. Man, it's so much fun.
Hell yeah. That does rule. That's so cool. And look, so here's the thing. This conversations range from vulnerable to goofy And we have been talking for a little while now. We do have to get to the crux of the podcast. We can't have another Vorthos Mike situation where we don't get a bonus question. Shout out to Mike. But Logan, I have to ask you because we're all dying to know. Yeah. Are you here for a pet peeve or do you have a story for us today?
Well, I've got a question here.
Okay, hit me.
And I was trying to figure out, God, what should I ask this guy? And then I thought, well, it's a show called Bolas, and I'm one of the guys, I'm one of the Bolas guys, the gang.
Yes.
I have like a print of every single version of him, and some are expensive and some are like $1, and they're all amazing. I love the guy, and he's free now. He's free.
Yes. Well, at this point, there's going to be a new story coming out. I would hope you've read it. If you can't, you'd know. Oh, he's free, and I hope he's messing. We were texting about this, but I hope he is going to mess with Tezzeret and Edge of Eternities.
I still have
need
this
it to happen.
I had like only like a couple weeks prior to that story coming out, maybe like 2 weeks.
Okay.
I had gotten a Panda Express fortune cookie, and I opened it up, and it says, "The return of an old friend will bring great joy."
Oh, come on!
Not joking. It's right
right
there
on the screen.
Yeah.
Okay. And that to you is Nicol Bolas being freed from the blind eternity.
Yeah, he's free. Anyway,
that's awesome.
I'm thinking, I'm a Bolas guy. This is a Bolas show. Yes. Why don't I ask the question, am I the Bolas if I want to build a Nicol Bolas deck that plays like Nicol Bolas would play?
Wow.
Which I already did. So like I have one.
You have
so this
one
is
already.
Sort of like a, did I do the Bolas thing? Am I the Bolas?
Here's the question for you to clarify. So when you say you want to build a Bolas deck to do the Bolas thing, I have to know, are you building it like Bolas Typal, where you've got every version of Bolas and you're jamming them in there whether that or not they work synergistically, or you pick a Nicol Bolas that you like in the command zone and you are building to be the best of the Bolas. Like this is the one Bolas and you're synergizing with that version. Yes, you can have a different Planeswalker Bolas or like another version if it works for him. But I'm talking like, is this the Bolas that you want to be the biggest Bolas, or are you kind of like venerating him like a shrine to Bolas?
It's essentially both.
Okay.
So I run Nicol Bolas the Ravager in the command zone,
which I expect
because turns into a Planeswalker, and then I have all of the others in there, and then I have all of these fancy arts that have Bolas in it. And flavor text, like I have the Judge promo Mana Drain that has Nicol Bolas flavor text.
Woo!
And just, it's a whole bling ass. Sorry.
I mean, ass. I think ass gets a pass, buddy. I think we're fine with ass.
Cool. It's a whole bling deck based on Bolas, has all the Bolas cards, and I have like placeholder Planeswalkers essentially in the deck, so that when I play them, I grab my binder of all of my Bolases and I grab one at random, or I can roll a die and see which one I use for that time. But it's for him to be him. The cards that I play in it are very like, this is how he would play, stealing things from people, copying stuff, manipulating the game, trying to divert attention and be the mastermind.
Hell yeah. Am I the Bolas for being Bolas?
Yeah.
I think this is the easiest one we could ever do. I think after this we're gonna tell Morgan and I to go home for an early lunch. I think it's just like this might be. Am I the Bolas for being Bolas? Yes, I think so. If you are
okay. I was seeking was some affirmation, because it's one thing to do it and say, oh yeah, that's who I am. That's who I am. Sure. But then, have somebody else confirm it for you and like, okay, yeah, you are being that guy, In
the context of the show, I'll say like, in like taking the question literally, we'll go with yes. But I think in the context of like what the spirit of the show is, it's kind of like, I don't think you are unless you're being tricky about it. If you're sitting down and saying, I am aiming to be the arch enemy at the table, and I am picking one of Magic's greatest villains to be to lead the deck. I've made this deck built around him completely. I am thrilled that I get to be mean and have no reason not to be. This is where I'm supposed to shine in this regard. Am I the Bolas for this? Like, I don't think so. You're being very clear. You're communicating what you're doing. If people agree to the scenario, then like, it is what it is. And then you're playing the way you would play as you promised you would play, because that's the point of what you've built and you've brought it to the table and everybody's into it. So no, I don't think you'd be. If you showed up and you were like, I'm playing, no, everybody pick your decks before me. Don't worry about it. I'm just going to pick.
Yeah.
No, I have this mono white deck that, it's all 1-drops that are vanilla creatures. And then you're like, just kidding. I'm playing the Bolas deck. And guess what? I begin the game with Cruel Ultimatum on the stack. And I'm going to copy it for all of you. And you're like, how do you do that? And you're like, I don't care.
Because I can.
You kick over a chair, turn your baseball cap backwards, smoke a cigarette, flick it at someone's eye. And that's how you do it. I think maybe we could call you more of a villain than anything, but like I think you're sitting down and telling people like, "Hey, I built this deck as like as a token of appreciation for this character I really love, even though he's evil and I play like he would. So what do you think of that?" And people are like, "Hell yeah, that sounds sick." Not the Bolas, but also the Bolas. How do we do this one?
I don't know. So whenever I build, and this is one of the earliest decks that I did this with, is I like to, instead of building for, some kind of mechanic or some kind of like I don't know, maybe a visual aesthetic, or you're trying or like optimization to do a thing, playing like around to what other people are playing,
like a theme or something.
Right. I build for a theme, but my themes are like, when I want the decks to all feel different. I've got like 20 some decks, 23 or something.
Yeah, same.
I don't want them to play the same, even if they have overlapping elements. So I build for a vibe. I build for a persona.
Fun.
And so when I sit down with a deck, I have to, it's almost like acting, where you're putting on a persona. Like, I am going to be Bolas. I'm going to play like him, and then I shift over to play like an artifact deck, and I'm like, all right, I'm robot mentality. I'm going to build my machine.
Nice.
Or I flip over to angels, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna gain some life. We're gonna resurrect some stuff. We're just gonna fly high and mighty.
You have a halo you put on for when it's time to play the angel deck.
I'd love to have one.
Do you, when you play the Nicol Bolas deck, do you sometimes throw in a bit of like a my brother's calling, I hate that guy?
a bunch of us in the gang, we would joke around, in his time away, about how he's probably just like hanging out on the couch in the in the prison realm, just annoying the absolute crap out of Ugin, and Ugin's just like, oh my god, just shut up. And then they put it in the story where like they're essentially like hugging. He's like got to hold him in place physically.
That's ridiculous.
Bolas has essentially just been berating Ugin for how it's probably been like 4 or 5 years in the story by that point, just annoying the absolute crap out of him.
Bolas is like, hey, Ugin, you awake?
Hey,
you need to shower, bro. It smells. Yeah. You smell so bad. The rain's not doing it anymore. No. You smell me. I smell great.
Yeah.
I don't need that kind of stuff. No, Ugin. Hey, Ugin.
Hey,
you awake?
Hey, bud. What you doing?
We never used to hang out like this when we were kids. Like, what's...
It's just so cool, to
embody the deck, to kind of embody. Do you start the game with a copy of Domri Raid in the graveyard already? Or like...
There's Domri Raid and Dak Faden and Gideon.
Dovin Bond, just all of them.
Just big X's.
Yeah. You have a copy of the cards, they just have like X's on their eyes. Like,
I should do that. I should do that for the meme.
That'd be a fun little joke there. You throw that in there, see what the gang says about it.
Yeah. I always have like extra cards with some of my decks just for fun. Like, gosh,
I keep a
like
maybe board around with my decks. That's what I kind of do.
Yeah, like my Eldrazi deck is I just convert it to Ulalek, and like
nice.
You can't run OG Emrakul, but I've got the box toppers of the other two from Ultimate Masters.
Sick.
So I have the box topper of Emrakul just hanging out in the command zone like a cheerleader for the rest of the deck.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah, there's so much. So like, gosh, like even the Eldrazi deck, since I changed it to Ulalek, it's sort of like, okay, I've got to put myself in this Eldritch super math because it's so complicated to do all these copying and extra triggers and things effects in that deck now.
That was spoiled, or like a couple weeks after, somebody, I forget who exactly, and I'm sorry if I'm forgetting, did a whole thread, like a massively long thread, about how Ulalek actually interacts with the stack and how it copies everything on the stack.
Yeah.
That's bananas.
I had one board that I was working with where I was able to, it wasn't even, it was just a deterministic, combo, quote unquote, where I was able to use only 7 mana to make, I think it was like 20 copies of Reality Smasher.
Jesus.
That's a 5/5 trample haste. So like I had the original and like 19 more just from 7 mana. And I'm like,
nuts.
Okay, cool.
All right, sure.
I'll go to town.
This is Magic the Gathering, baby. This is what we can do here. That's wild.
Yeah, and I have like all these different decks that I do the same kind of thing in. Like I've got God, when Iron Man was spoiled, the first thing I thought was, everybody's like, oh, I'm gonna make this awesome combo pod deck, and so all of the decks that are up on Moxfield as the popular ones are the combo pod ones. Mine is up in the top of those most popular Iron Man decks because it's an Iron Man clones deck. So I'm just, the only things I'm potting out are like Mirror Box and Mirror Gallery, and I am
Auton Soldier maybe
copying Iron Man a million times and then swinging with this massive Iron Legion of Iron Man suits. And like I got to do that in Chicago. I had 17 Iron Men out at the same time.
That's a lot of Iron Men. That's a lot of Iron Men. That's so gross.
It's like, all right, I'm Tony Stark. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna build a crap ton of suits. I'm gonna make suits. I'm gonna just overwhelm everything.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of the whole gimmick behind how I build. Like is just I want to fit a persona. So like when it came to Bolas, I'm like, all right, let's be him. Let's be the big bad and do what he does.
You know what? That's a fun perspective because I don't have any decks that I do that for. I think, let me see, is there a deck that I kind of have like a vibe first? Nope, I don't have any decks that kind of feel like that, and I'm thinking that could be a fun way to approach something.
Yeah,
I guess the closest I get to is I have a Lazav Wearer of Faces deck, where it's from Mirza Karlov Manor. It's the one where you attack, you exile a card from a graveyard and investigate. Whenever you sack a clue, it can become a copy of a creature card until end of turn that was exiled with him.
Right.
And I guess I kind of feel super smart when I play that, but I guess that's as far as it gets.
I think it's a great way to encourage people to go outside of the really mechanical deck building optimization kind of crap that most people fall into, and it's fine if you do. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's so much more joy I get out of a game when I have a story to tell afterwards.
Oh yeah, that's the way to be. I think that if you can walk away from a table, win or lose, and you've got a moment or a play in that game that makes you go, now that's what I play Magic for. That's what it's worth it. That's what makes it fun.
Like
I'll say, I love hearing about, plays like that. Like Roman, who's a writer for Commander's Herald, he put together the Valeyard deck from the Grixis voting commander, from the Doctor Who set, and it says when you vote, you get an additional vote.
Yeah.
And then there's also, whenever an opponent faces a villainous choice, they face that choice again. And so what happened was in a game, he had the Veil Yard out, and other players had a bunch of creatures. He played Nanogene Conversion, which turned every creature in play into the Veil Yard.
I love that.
And then he played Ensnared by the Mara. So each opponent had to face a villainous choice equal to the amount of creatures their opponents controlled +1. Which, that's pretty bananas. That's a crazy, 3-card combo that tells you, like, hey, if we play this out, it's pretty nasty.
Yeah.
And I really love that. And that's the kind of thing that gets my engine going and what I want to see more of. And again, to your point, I think because Roman kind of was like, he's newer to the game and he was kind of thinking, I don't want to be the bad guy here. I want to kind of play at a power level that everybody likes. I don't want to lean in. But if he was leaning into being the bad guy, that's a character from the villain sheet in Doctor Who. If you lean in, you're making it happen. He took Expropriate out of the deck.
That character would do. Like, a couple different stories, even with just the Bolas deck. I was playing a game where somebody played Hull of Gemstone, right? Where you name a color and that your lands can only tap for that color.
Yeah.
So he's playing a mono green deck, so he's going to name green every time. And we're all playing multicolor decks. So it gets back to my turn, and I'm like, just shot in the dark. I'm like, blue.
Okay.
I top deck Omniscience, and I've got I've got Urborg coffers and some lands. I have exactly 10 mana. My coffers and everything tap for blue, and I slam down Omniscience, and that's like a totally Bolas thing. Like, I'll just use what you're using against you to do the big bad thing, and then I play out my entire hand.
That rules so hard. This is something that's what you get. That's what you get. You get to have moments like that. This to me is similar to, I mean, it's not, it's obviously not exactly, but Nassif counting out his mana for Cruel Ultimatum mana to top deck. He's like manifesting it. You're kind of like, I guess I'll go with blue because I probably gonna get into something. It's like either mass manipulation, right? Because you've got all this mana, you're probably gonna steal a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Into Omniscience, and it doesn't even matter. You're the most powerful dragon god in the world.
Exactly.
That's so good in the multiverse. Unbelievable move. That's so cool. That's so fun.
One of the initial things I built into the deck, it was from when, War of the Spark had just come out, and in Standard, you could do Amithebolas, where you had Dragon God, Jace Cunning Castaway, and Oath of Teferi. So you could double activate. You'd +1 Bolas, whatever, like the draw card, exile thing. And then you'd use Jace's -5 to make 2 non-legendary copies of Bolas. And then you just keep doing it over and over and over and over.
Wow.
And so I put that in the deck with Chain Veil instead of Oath of Teferi, since I can't run that. So I get to do that thing. And the last time I actually played the deck, I got to do the Amithebolas combo.
Yes.
Where I just make it's exactly what he would do. Like, all right, I'm just gonna,
if I can make myself infinite, I would. I mean,
it's 16 mana worth of stuff to do it all.
Yeah.
And
I've
it's
always
totally
said
fair.
that if I could be in a band of just me, I'd be in a band with just me. What? You think it's different for the Dragon God?
Exactly. I get to do all this cool stuff where I'm utilizing the tools, the lore to do that thing. What does Nicol Bolas do? He makes people work for him. So like I'm like, all right, I'm gonna use your things, and I'm gonna like I got the 3 Grixis gods from Amonkhet in there, of course, like Scarab God, Scorpion God, Locust God.
Yeah.
I've got cool stuff like Mind's Dilation and Stolen Strategy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm running like a bunch of the invocations of like No Mercy. Consecrated Sphinx.
Oh, you're going all out. Man, this is Bolasy. That's literally what you're going for. And so it's like, I bet you'd be happy with either answer I give you on this one, I think.
That's the rub. That's exactly that's exactly it.
I've always
loaded
loved
question.
It's not easy, but I'll say I've always loved this Nicol Bolas Dragon God. Like For those who don't know it, it's a 4 loyalty planeswalker for blue, black, 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 red. That's 5 mana, very intensive cost. Let me tell you, it's worth it. Bolas Dragon God has all loyalty abilities of all other planeswalkers on the battlefield. Doesn't just have to be your planeswalkers. Let me tell you something. And it's got like what it's the ultimate is -8. Each opponent who doesn't control a legendary creature or planeswalker loses the game. Nothing more bolusy than that, dude. Like if your champion has deserted you, you are not worthy of my time.
I've done the cool thing where like I play that there's some other planeswalkers that I've got out, and I do the thing that happened in the lore. I play the Invocation Damnation, where I nuke everything, right? And then I play the Elder Spell, where I slurp up all the sparks from the other planeswalkers, and I immediately just -8 the Dragon God and win.
That's again, so this is very story forward. You are linking it to moments in the story and the lore of this character. That's so sick. And honestly, it's another layer in which to enjoy the game. And your encouragement to do so, I think I here's a challenge to the listeners over here that are listening to Logan discuss this deck. I'll say this. Let's all try it out. I think I'm going to look up some stuff and see if I can put together a deck list like this, maybe one that I'm already tinkering with.
Yeah.
You know, I've got this Marchesa Dealer of Death list that I've been kind of going back and forth on, and it's a Grixis Mill Reanimator thing. And I'm thinking, I've never been a spell slinger, but Marchesa, those giving little orders. Let me just see what she can do, you know? Maybe I can work that out.
Lets you think outside of the box and maybe do something that you wouldn't like. A lot of cards anymore, like you see a legendary, a commander, and you're like, oh, well, that builds like this, you know? Like, I'm just going to do that. I've got an Esper legendary human deck. Who do you think would be the commander for an Esper legendary human commander deck?
I'm blanking on Esper commanders. I don't know.
I love Esper. So there's like the Warhammer one.
Oh, Marnius Kalgar or the Inquisitor,
the Greyfax. Yeah, there's like Greyfax. There's a good handful of. You can even do like partners.
You got Timna and I guess Silas Red.
Yeah. So my legendary human commander is Chromium the Mutable, which is a
get out of here
7 mana 7/7 flash. This spell can't be countered. Flying dragon, Elder Dragon. Because it has the ability discard a card until end of turn. He becomes a legendary human with base power 1/1 with hexproof.
And can't be blocked.
Yeah, because he turns into a legendary human.
It's very funny to me that Chromium's whole deal is, what? I'm just a little guy.
Just a regular guy. I have this little printout that I found on Reddit that looks like Chromium dressed up like Invisible Stalker, like the Innistrad card. So whenever I switch him over, I put that on top of him.
That's so funny.
He's wearing like the little like glasses and nose and mustache.
What a goof. That's so silly.
But the cool thing is it enables stuff in the deck. I wanted to do a human deck where I'm, instead of doing like the Mardu or Selesnya or like even Bant kind of style
humans, there's a lot of those.
Those human decks, you know what they do.
Sure.
This one is very sneaky. I'm doing blue stuff in it, like Lavinia to lock out people's free spells, or Daxos to steal stuff off the top of people's decks, like OG Daxos.
Love Daxos.
Notable Vorthos character Glenn, the voice of Calm from The Walking Dead.
Who's is that Hank's in the what's that one
Gregor.
Gregor. That's the one. It's so funny. The art I can picture, Shrewd Magistrate, Gregor. Just a what looks like a Chris, in a sheath, and got bags and bags of coin.
So much cool stuff. Like I can run Council of Four. I can run Veil of the Nightclad is a human.
Yeah.
And so I get to do this more like sneaky, subversive. There's a lot of cards with flash. Even like Oscar from
Rubbish
Reclaimer.
Yeah. Well, especially
Oscar the
Chromium
Grouch
can discard.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Oscar is essentially a Vidalcan orrery. I discard to Chromium and I can cast the thing.
That's pretty sick.
And
that's pretty sick.
Like I just try to fit this persona of like what an Esper human, like sneaky kind of manipulative kind of mindset of trying to get ahead and doing cool things.
I forget that Oscar doesn't need the timing windows to line up.
Exactly.
That's so sick. Logan, we've been going for a little while here, and I hate to put an end to it, but I think we gotta start signing off here. But do you want to tell folks where to find you online, what you want them to check out, and then we'll both cheers our Pepsis.
Hell yeah.
And wish they were Baja Blasts.
I'll have one after this in your honor, man.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I'm Logan. I was thinking about this too. Like most people know me as SeraphSix, but a lot of people that know me just call me Logan because there are very few Logans in our online Magic community. Right. So it's like, oh, you're talking about that guy. So I'm like, oh, cool. Like I'm the Logan.
Yeah, you're one of those rare cases where someone could be talking about, like I was talking to Logan and it was like, oh, I thought that was SeraphSix. It's like the same guy.
Yeah.
It's like one of those rare cases where that lines up in a way. Like, I'm not going to get that unless somebody really thinks there's a real Mark Carbons out there.
Yeah, I like to use the moniker that I do cool stuff for cool people because I'm always everywhere helping people out. That's my shtick, is trying to make things easier for everybody else. And then people, they take care of me. I get taken care of too. So yeah, you can find me literally anywhere online as SeraphSix. I've been using this username for 25 years. So if you find somebody that is using it that isn't me, just I'll take them outside behind the shed or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
we'll give them the business.
SeraphSix.com has got all my links to everything, including all the deck lists that we were just talking about.
Awesome.
I not only do I give them a persona and cool things and cool art, but I name them after songs that fit the vibe of the deck.
Sick.
So every single one has a unique artist and track. Like Bolas deck is Metallica's Master of Puppets.
That makes sense.
Very fitting. So yeah, hit up my website just to get my links. I'm always posting my Tuesday Baja Blast selfie on Blue Sky. So yeah, I'll, depending on when this comes out, I'll be a creator in Vegas. That's exciting for me, and it'll be a good time.
I'm looking up all the song choices.
Are they great?
Yeah, I'm trying to see ones that I recognize because I'm like my music taste is like very much on the post-hardcore like scream stuff. So I'm not like Robot Rock. I'll recognize, by Daft Punk, and
it was in the Iron Man movie too.
Oh, for real? I see it. That's another thing, is I've never been huge into the Marvel movies, but I watched all the Captain America arc because my buddy used to run something called New Year's Steve on New Year's Day, where she would start watching the Cap movies at 9 a.m. and watch them all through until like 4 a.m. the next day. And so we went one year and we watched basically the tail end of the Cap stuff. So that's my knowledge of Marvel, is that and Spider-Man, and that's about it. And I love X-Men, but all that to say, Black Hole Sun by Soundgarden is on here.
Yeah,
Into the Void
my
by
core
Nine
last
Inch
year to
Nails.
Black Blade.
Yeah, that's right. Ulalek gets Into the Void by Nine Inch Nails. This is very fun. Go to SeraphSix, click on the MTG deck list thing, and take a look at this. That's very fun, Logan. That's cool as hell. Make sure to follow Logan on everything. We're gonna go back to check in with Morgan and make this an easy one. I think we've already determined the verdict on this end, but I'd love to hear from Morgan on it. And thanks again, Logan. I'm so stoked that we got to do this.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is excited.
Hell yeah. We're gonna pop over to Morgan and have us a chat. Later, guys. Logan, aka SeraphSix, thank you so much for calling in and having a chat with me about all that we talked about. It was, first of all, Logan is such a pillar of the Magic content creation community, the Magic player community in general, and he's just a valuable member of our Magic people. Straight up, like talking about the big banning, that was pretty important, and having to deal with all the vitriol that spun out from that. I gotta say, shout out to Logan. Just like a real gem. Big love for you, buddy. Thank you so much for having a chat with me. We're gonna vote on whether or not you're the Bolas, but it's a sticky one because you are and you aren't. You're both, I think. So let's discuss. Morgan and I were gonna discuss and find out which one we're landing towards. All right. So Morgan, what's Logan really asking?
Logan is asking, am I the Bolas for playing a Bolas deck the way Bolas would play?
Come on, how perfect is this? Morgan, what's your read on this? What do you think?
So, I'm a big fan of, you know me, I'm basically the professional casual, so all of my decks are thematic. It's almost like I'm role-playing, right? I have the squirrel deck, I'm role-playing squirrels, right? So when somebody comes and says, hey, I'm kind of taking on the persona of my commander, right? And based on the commander you play, more or less, right? Like, these are your colors, this is your vibe. This is the great thing about Magic, is you can kind of attach part of your personality to your deck that you're building, right? You can get kind of a feel like, oh, I'm playing Turgid, or oh, I'm playing X, and you're like, oh, I can kind of maybe figure what kind of person you are, right?
Totally.
So it's hard to say. I'm going to say generally speaking, you cannot possibly be the Bolas for being the Bolas. And let me explain myself to the extent that most people, if you've been watching and listening to us for this long, there's a bit of Bolas behavior in almost everything you do in Magic, right? But almost nobody is like so self-aware when they're playing, when they're asking these questions, we do the mailbags, whatever it may be, that they may potentially be the Bolas. They're always like, probably not, but some people are telling me maybe I'm being a little mean and squirrely over here, right? But I think when you own it, genuinely, I'll say I think when you own it a little bit, and when you preface games that way too, when you own it that way, that's so fun. I want to have fun with you having fun with it. Like, if you come out and say, you know what, y'all, I'm the Bolas, I'm like, all right, let's get it. You almost get like a arch enemy situation, right? You're like,
hell yeah,
all right, because you know what you expect when you tell people that they're all gonna gang up on you just to, get that like arch villain energy, right?
Guess who can handle it? Guess who can handle it?
Exactly.
One of the greatest villains in the multiverse. Excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, please give me a chance to save the world, okay? Have you seen what the world is like these days? You're telling me that you're willing to play the part of the villain. Let's play the game, girl.
Let's play the game, buddy.
Let's save the world.
I love that. So I'm going to guess you're saying not the Bolas, but he is the
Immediately
Bolas, but
not the Bolas.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. We didn't even cover the voting system, but I don't think we'll need to, because I'm in agreement. I absolutely agree. I think not the Bolas for sure, because this is the part of Magic that how do I put this? Commander is like an offshoot version of Magic that kind of came together because of the creativity of a group of people that were like, let's find a way to make use of this stuff. We have this downtime, we have all this chaff. Let's get some rules going, use the game system, and then it became the most popular format, period, in the game's history. And frankly, part of Commander is like this element of expression. Like, if you're getting the blinged out versions of stuff, or like particular versions of stuff, you get alters and stuff. That's you expressing yourself and your deck building. When you deck build, when you're making a Commander deck, that's a form of expression. And to be able to take it a step further the way Logan does, which is to say, when he builds a deck, he embodies that character. He likes to do that with his decks. I think that's rad. I think that's cool as hell. I mean, of course, if you get a little too into it and you say some out-of-pocket stuff, yeah, that might be a problem. But like, I don't expect that coming from Logan, sweet little angel Logan. I'll say If you're the Bolas, you're probably looking to snap off a cruel ultimatum, and that means one person is getting big time screwed. So
cooked.
Yeah, big time.
Grilled up.
Boiled. Anyway, it's I don't think you're the Bolas for playing the deck like the character that you're playing. Like I don't know anything. I tried to find one of my decks to say that I like embody it and stuff, and I gotta be honest, I don't have that. I don't have a deck like that does it, except for maybe my Teysa Opulent Oligarch deck, where once I'm set up, I definitely take on this air of like, I'm on the throne.
The Opulent Oligarch, yeah. That was a Laura for me.
Hell yeah. Exactly.
Sit
I'm on the throne.
I
have all these trinkets. I have these treasures and clues. I have countless options. I can pay to, which is like, oh, I could pay a little bit of money. I could pay money to crack a clue.
I got so much money right
to come
now.
do my bidding. And the more I get, the less you have, because I'm pinging you for life loss and stuff like that. And I really think I'm gonna lean into that approach a little bit more, you know. And I think that yeah, that Teysa deck's a lot of fun. It might be one of my new signature decks, frankly, because I've played it so much. Actually, Olivia Gobert Hicks and Brian Kibler were in town recently in Montreal, just like on the just for personal stuff. They had some LARP stuff they were doing, and they happened to be at an LGS on a night off. Like, hey, we're around. You want to come hang? And I was like, hell yeah. And Olivia borrowed that Teysa deck, and she saw it. She was like, I love this deck. I see what you're doing with it. Let me get a go. I want to play with it.
Yes.
And that felt really cool. But that is probably the deck where I can feel the influence of the deck on the player, because you end up with so much happening and you feel like a position of power, and I feel like that can go with the character. But I don't have a character that I could do that with a commander. What's Genova like? Maybe I got to get to know Genova and see what that's going to be like.
Everybody just gasped.
Monotone. Oh, really?
Silent...
Is she the villain?
She's an alien in a tank. But I mean, you could zhuzh it up. You could do something with that. She wants to destroy the world a little bit. So I mean, like Genova's the Bolas. You know what I mean? Like she crash landed, you know, a million years ago. They put her in a tank. They started doing experiments on her. Like you have all of the juice. Like you
awesome.
can do it. Yeah.
I'll be the evil one there. I think Logan, while being the Bolas, is not the Bolas. In parlance of the show, not the Bolas. In when speaking about when playing the deck, you are the Bolas, because you are the character. I appreciate you calling in, buddy. Everybody follow SeraphSix. You can follow Logan at SeraphSix. Do it on all platforms. You can follow me at Mike Carrozza, MikeCarrozza on all platforms. Check out my comedy. Check out this podcast. Check out my article series, Am I the Bolas, on EDHrec.com. We have a substantial backlog of the articles over at CommandersHerald.com as well. We can also be found at Am I the Bolcast on Blue Sky. And, of course, amithebolas at gmail.com. Send us your stories. We're going to do a mailbag episode again soon, because the response to that was so great, and I'm very excited. It's something I've been talking about for a little while, and it's finally happening, and I'm very, very, very happy. I'm very happy with that, and I am so sick right now. We got to scoot the day. Morgan, where can people find you?
I am Indigo Gentleman at Blue Sky, and then please check out every single day. We have awesome deck techs, news articles at edhrec.com. You'll see them on the homepage. Yeah. Give it a scroll, give it a browse. Feel free to yell at me if you hate anything. But please check it out.
You're going to see 2 new deck techs by me soon, actually. You're gonna get those in your editing bay soon.
Hell yeah.
Not going to say which.
Uh-oh. Let's go.
I'll tell you after. But that'll do it for us, everybody. We're going to scoot the day, and I'm going to go right back to bed. But that's what this week is. I'm sorry. Have a great day. Have a great night. Have a great week. Have it all. You can have it all. We're going to do another mailbag episode soon. Thank you so much. Take care. Day's been scooted. Okay, bye.